Okay, so in this week's homework assignment, we will try to apply the basic programming technique that we have learned in our classes to some real cases. The first case is about the vehicle stolen event, the car stolen event in the Chicago city. After we read the data, we'll see about 200,000 events, right? And each event is a stolen car, right? So when the car is stolen, the most important thing is we want to know the time and place, right? The time, the day, and the place that the car was stolen, right? So this is typically what we call temporal spatial data. By analyzing this temporal spatial data, now we will see that how the car stolen event is distributed in time and also in space, right? So with this data, we will be able to do some maybe police manpower allocation type of strategies. The first section of the case is actually quite simple. We simply use the command that we have learned during the class. For example, the number of rows, right? The numbers of column, the data types, right? And also the summary. See, as I told you, it's very important to use a short name for the major data structure in your case, right? So it will make you a lot easier to do command. One of the major things that we want to learn in this case is about day and time, right? As we show here, that the day and time, when we read it in, it will be written as a character string. But however, in its nature, time should be something like a real number, right? Like a continuous real number. However, it's nothing like a real number in human society, right? When we talk about time, they have different length units, right? 24 hours a day, 60 minutes an hour, like in a month, it could be like 30 days, 31 days, 28 days, 29 days, right? And when we talk about time, we have time zone, and sometimes we will have the daylight saving, right? So it is really a very, very troublesome data type. And in order to use it, we need to transfer this string type into an internal time and day data type before we can start to use it in our program. Let me say it again. In order to use day and time in the programming environment, we will need to transfer the string into an internal day or time data type in the programming environment. Another difficulty in using day and time is people tend to write day and time in different formats, right? For example, for month, they can use the full name of the month, they can use abbreviated name, and they can also use digits, right, to represent month. And when they put them together, they can represent year, months, and day in different sequence and in different separators, right? In order to transfer a character string into a day or time, we will use the function like sday or sPOSIX, which is an international standard in recurring time, right? So we use these two functions to transfer a character string into day or time data type. And in addition to giving it the string, we will also need to give it the format within the string. Now, for example, when we want to transfer a string like this into a time data type, now, in addition to give it this string, we also need to tell him the format, right? By using this coding table, right? In addition to the string, we also need to give it the format of the string before as POSIX, before this command, before this function can properly transfer the character string into a day or time. Actually, the coding table, it works in both directions. That is to say, it works when we would transfer character into day or time, and it also works in transfer day and time data type back to characters. From time to time, we will need to transfer the day and time data type back to character before we can use it. And that is what we want to practice in the section 2 of our homework assignment. So in the beginning, this column, date, is actually a character vector, right? And it actually, in this character, it records the time, right, of the event in this format, right? So in order to transfer this character vector into a vector of time, we need to call as POSIX, right? When we call this function, we need to give it the original characters vector, right? And we also need to give it the format, right? The day and time format within that character vectors. So with these two pieces of information, SPOSIX will transfer a character vector into a timestamp vector, for short, TS, right? It will transfer a character vector into a timestamp vector. And when we execute this, yeah, we will see a vector of of the same length as D, right? We will see a vector of the same length as D, and its data type is POSIX CT, which means that we will have a time vector of the same length as our data, right? Okay, so after we have this this vector of time, we can treat this vector as a numeric vector. So if we want to see its distribution, we want to see how this car stolen event are distributed in time, right? We can do histogram, right? So we do histogram on TS, and we can specify the bin width here, right? So if we want the bin width to be a year, we can put year. If we want the bin width to be a quarter, we can put a quarter. Now, in this way, we can observe the distribution of the event visually. Well, as I say, we can actually use the code table to transfer a time vector back to character. A typical usage is like, for example, if we want to count the number of events in Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and so forth, then we can use this way, right? We can transfer the TS, the time vector, back to the weekday, and then we can use table, right, to count the event in each weekday, right? As another example, if we do it by H, now this is 24 hours, right? So we can see we can use format to transfer TS back to the 24 hour, and then we can count the number of events in this 24 hour, right? So if we like, we can actually pipe this table into a bar plot, right? See, you will see here you will see that how the event is distributed within a day, right? Now within within this built-in function table, right? We can actually place more than one vectors, right? So actually we can put in weekday as well as hour. So in this fashion, in this way, we can actually produce a matrix that tell us, like this 724 matrix will tell us how the car stolen events are distributed within a week, right? So actually, if we pipe this table into some visualization code in this code chunk. Now in this code chunk, I actually like visualize this matrix into a heat map, right? Now don't worry about the charting code yet. We will cover that in a few weeks, right? So in this chart, it's quite obvious that within the day, there are two hotspots, right? The 0 hour and the 22 hour, right? And within a week, it looks like the Friday night is the most frequent time that car stolen event would occur, right? And this could be very useful for the law enforcement department, right, in Chicago. At the end of some of the assignment notebook, I will put in a section called Ninja's Dojo, right? That I would write the code for you, right? Because I know that in the beginning, a beginning programmer might not be able to do code like this. I just want to show you that if we use the data, if we use it right, you can see how powerful the data can be, right? So in this Ninja's Dojo, I write the code for you to show you the potential that you can use the data, that you can extract the value out of the data, right? So so in this code chunk, we will actually produce this chart, right? Now in this chart, in the right hand side is the number of events, the distribution of events, right? And in the right hand side is actually the arrest rate in 724, right? And in addition to time, it also involves space, right? So as you can see here, right, the distribution of this car stolen event, the distribution are very different on the street, in the parking lot, and the rest of the area, right? So if you were the law enforcement department in Chicago, right, it would be very useful for you, right? If you can know the time and space that each time of crime would occur, right? So in this notebook, I just want to show you, in this dojo, I just want to show you that you don't really need to do a very complicated analysis, right? Simply by using the built-in function like table and tapply, and do some visualization, we can already extract a useful information out of the data and make it very useful for our strategy decision already.